Oh, hey there. I was just taking a peek at this book that I wrote way back in 2009 called Wake Up, Shift Happens. I picked this up recently just to see what I knew way back when, and because it's been such a hot topic with YouTubers recently, and it's actually become really big business. Waking up, spiritual awakening, ascension. And so with that said, I just can't sit by and let people be misled by savvy marketers. And I needed to speak up and shed some light on the subject from maybe a real different perspective, maybe a more wholesome and complete picture of what this journey is all about. When I started my journey of awakening over 3 decades ago. In this video, I'm going to talk about truths about spiritually awakening and the ascension process. I've got some book copies that I'd love to share and give away. First 10 people that send me a screenshot of their share of this video, then I'll be happy to send you a book. We can all see the world is making rapid changes around us, and many people are finding their life is really unpredictable and unstable. And the life they thought they created has actually collapsed. Institutions and structures that we've known and grown up knowing and are trusting are crumbling. And you may be wondering, how to maintain balance in your own life. Never mind trying to understand what's really happening in the bigger picture on the planet. Our planet has never seen these changes, and we're stepping into a whole new world that requires you to have a whole new way of being. What I do is show people who want to understand who they are by using tools and techniques to manage these rapidly changing times. The reason I can do this, having been on the path of spiritual awakening for over 3 decades now, and then 1998, I had a near-death experience that truly catapulted my own understanding of what the spiritual awakening and ascension is all about. And I learned tools in that process to assist and navigate these rapidly changing times. For over 2 decades, I've been teaching these tools and techniques to thousands of people around the world, changing their lives. And the really cool thing is, they work. They're sustainable and they're consistent. Most people are unaware of being unconscious, but recognize something is happening. The changes are shocking for many, and for the most part, most people are walking around in the 3rd dimension and don't really know what it's all about. And if you're watching this, you are waking up. That's what ascension is. Your frequency is shifting to become aware of being aware. As the shift of consciousness is unfolding, it's bringing about 3 major aspects of change. 1, time is speeding up or seemingly disappearing. Have you noticed that time speeds up and you don't have enough time in the day to finish what you're doing? Or it just disappears, you've got blocks of time just missing? And secondly, longer lists of things to do. It just seems like your plate just keeps getting full. Do you ever feel like you accomplish less and less and the time to do it in is shrinking? Anyone feel like Lucy and Ethel at the chocolate factory where the conveyor belt is speeding up and they have to keep eating their chocolate? And the third factor that a lot of people are noticing is they're losing their memory. It seems like you're losing it. And nope, you're not going through Alzheimer's. You're not going crazy either. But how you participate in this process is really fundamental. With all these rapidly changing times, you need tools to navigate. And I've created the quantum energy tools you may have heard of me speak of, and masterclasses to assist in these upgoing and rapidly changing times that are redefining our world and accelerating our spiritual awakening. The quantum energy tools are the basics that I created for you to navigate with these upcoming and ongoing changes that are redefining us and the world we live in. And yes, it's a spiritual awakening, and yes, this is serious business, but we got to have fun with this whole process. No matter where you are in your own spiritual process, these tools can effectively and especially be helpful to you. Spiritual awakening is all about awakening to your potential, remembering who you are. It's really all about you. Yes, the planet's changing. New energies are coming into the planet that are affecting all of us. The changes are coming in and occurring, things that we've never experienced ever on our planet. If you've already been on your spiritual path for some time, you might already know this. You experience this. But if you're new, and to everyone, there seems to be so much more to learn. And if there was ever a time when we didn't know anything, it seems to be now. The shifting frequencies on the planet are changing everything. And whatever we thought we knew is changing. One of the patterns that people are releasing in this time of change is judgment. And it may not look like it to you. It may seem like some people are over the top judging, and other people are maybe a little more neutral. You see, what's happening is our belief systems are shifting into a more fluid and effortless pattern. Yeah, think about it. Could it be that we're not here to figure it out? It's a new era of remembering and feeling with our heart. We're putting together a platform of well-being and assembling the puzzle pieces that aren't fitting together yet in the moment. And that is because you're realigning and you're redefining and you're rewiring yourself. And the pieces are coming together over time. But the changes are occurring fast and furious. So it feels like maybe you're, having an instantaneous meltdown. Being fluid is like we're living in this time that feels like a great big construction project. So you've got to give yourself permission to allow that information to flow through you. This construction project is different though, because what's happened is you've planned this eons ago. Only since you've been clobbered with a bad case of amnesia, you might feel a little groggy at first. But as you begin to wake up, you start to manage your project and its development. And since your higher self got you here, you can trust that it's guiding you through this unknown process. But getting out of your head and getting into your heart, where you can feel the experiences, is where the process begins. You have to allow yourself to play. Energy is accelerating so fast that there isn't lead time to adjust or to think about it. And the more you create resistance, the worse it gets. And the ouch is bigger. So my advice to you is to allow, or to learn to allow, this information to come through you. And this is where having a reliable tool or a practical tool can be especially profound. And I'll link a post below where you can access the quantum energy tools or the masterclasses. Why are you here anyway? Why are you here? At some level, you chose to live on the planet at this time during this massive shift of consciousness. And it's an incredible time to be alive in this monumentous time of shift. Your intention is to know your truth. And the law of attraction will feed you with information, with intention. So you attract the things you want and also the things that you don't want. You attract the people in your life and the stuff in your home and all the money in your bank accounts, and through your thoughts and your feelings. It's both the conscious and the unconscious thoughts that are your feelings that are dictating what your reality is and how your life looks. So it's a time to remember yourself. You can't look outside yourself for the answers. Feeling with your heart, finding and settling in and finding those internal answers, that's really very simple. Easier to say, right? Our challenge is to find that internal smile. It's where the feelings are. And that's where your success lies. And allowing you. Do you remember the exercise of follow the dots? Where you've got all these dots on a page and you don't know what the picture is, but you start at number 1 and you draw a line to number 2 and then to number 3 and then to number 4 and then to 5. That's like the journey that you're on right now. And the whole picture isn't being revealed to you. But just start where you're at. You are reconfiguring you. Time is collapsing. You see, time is a creation of living in the 3rd dimension in our 3D world, and it's where you process. So there's a lot of talk about 4 and 5D living, but how do you leave the 3D? It's about leaving your past behind. And that shouldn't be so hard, right? Since it doesn't really exist. You simply have a recollection of experiences from a moment in time. And it's exactly the same as now, except it occurred in a different time. You only exist right now. It's a stream of thoughts that is history, and it flows as information. The past is a present time awareness that you lived in a past moment. You had an experience that you can relate to that experience. Your physical body can never be in the past. So understanding this concept is one thing, and it's a whole nother challenge to demonstrate it. Since the past is a history of thoughts, emotions, and feelings that don't exist in this moment. They can only be accessed through your memory. What you really defined your past as is a flow of thoughts that you defined as an experience. You've gathered information that you can apply in this moment. And it's kind of like riding a bike. What most of us do is put our attention on the past and the experience and the emotion of that moment too. And you might say, well, I liked it, or I didn't like it, or that was good, or that was bad, or we define that emotion as that experience. And memories are just information. However, as you access that memory, you also access the emotion. Does that make sense? The difference, however, is that the emotion is in the present moment. It's not in the past. And if you had an experience or a memory and it triggered a current experience, you demonstrate that emotion again in the present. What most of us do is live our lives and our emotions and the energy patterns that occurred from the past, and it has nothing to do with the present. You may want to re-listen to this. You may have heard someone say, oh, you'll never amount to any good, or you are not smart enough, or you had thoughts like nobody likes me, or, the list goes on and on. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. So what happens is the law of attraction begins attracting based on those triggered past moments, and it has nothing to do with the now in the moment. If you've ever heard, you will never be successful in your past, then you created that feeling of not being okay. Fast forward 20 years, and you still hold on to that emotion that someone that triggered that said you'll never amount to anything. And you live out that moment from the past, and you keep recreating your past emotional feelings in this present experience. And what that really means is that you're living in the past. When you can separate emotions from other people's opinions, you will become clear, and you start to become empowered, and you step into a lighter version of yourself, that you can have the things that you really desire in the now. The past is nothing more than a string of information, of programming, and then you brought forward into your present moment. The fact of the matter is that, and the truth is that you've been successful multiple times in your life, but you won't be able to validate yourself for the success because that emotional roadblock that is detouring you into an outmoded pattern. You're not in the past. You're not in the future. And most of us spend our lives in the past or in the future. You can't create your future, and you can't create the past or reinvent it. You can create a new future by how you are being in the present moment. And since most of your thoughts are kept away from being in the present moment, that quantum energy tool of grounding, the very first tool I teach, is very powerful and monumental in helping you be present, being in the now. Eckhart Tolle talks about that, being in the now. As you awaken, your awareness begins to shift, and there's so much more to share with you that I'm going to have to create a follow-up video because I'm just getting started. But you're not going crazy. In terms of spiritual awakening and ascension, there's just a lot to talk about. So I want to thank you so much for paying attention. You might want to re-listen to this to try and understand the stream of thoughts from the past. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the upcoming videos, and a link below to catch on to those quantum energy tools, Awaken You masterclasses that I've got, and tune in for the truths about spiritual awakening, where I'll share about what you are not. Thank you so much for watching, and many blessings to you on this bumpy ride to awakening into the light of and the truth of who you are. And the ouch is bigger. So you might want to re-listen to this again, but you're not going crazy.